Now, your forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Lots of pink on the map. Excessive heat warning is what that color is alluding to here. All of our counties under that, and basically that means that more heat, more dangerous humidity coming our way as we head into the weekend. It's 10 o'clock, and it's still 86 in Lincoln, and it feels like 100. Literally, it feels like 100 degrees right now. It's 10 p.m. at night. That's wild. 89 in Champaign, 91 Decatur and Taylorville, even Springfield. Right now, feeling like 98 degrees. I'm not talking about the band. Satellite radar picture here showing clear skies and looking really good. It's going to be another hot one tomorrow. I put the caution light out there solely because of the heat. Lots of it. Be careful out there. We'll let you know when this heat will finally break and we see some cooler weather coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
We do not agree with the result.
But life in prison is what jurors decided for Brent Christensen. What Ying Zhang's family had to say after the verdict.
Many look at it as a rite of passage or that everyone is doing it.
Plus, parents worry about their kids drinking and doing drugs, but now some kids in one county are admitting it.
Some elections are too close to call, but you won't believe what this city did to break a tie.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
If you have any humanity left in your soul, please help end our torment. Please let us bring Ying home.
Again, Ying Zhang's family will return home without their daughter. The man who killed her will never go home again. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jessica Coons. Brent Christensen was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of release. He kidnapped and killed U of I scholar Ying Zhang 2 years ago. Today, a jury decided not to sentence him to the death penalty. The judge had some blistering words for Christensen, and Zhang's family shared some heartbreaking thoughts for everyone who's been following the case. WCIA 3's Aaron Eads has more details from the federal courthouse in Peoria.
Now today, the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict as to whether or not this defendant should receive the death penalty or not. So he will serve the rest of his life in prison, and he will die in prison, as he should for these horrendous acts.
It's not the justice Ying Zhang's family had hoped for, but it's a sentence they say they accept. And even though Brent Christensen will die behind bars, the Zhang family wants one more thing from him before he does.
We ask the defendant to unconditionally tell us what he knows about Ying's location.
The judge reamed Christensen for declining to say even a simple "I'm sorry" for what he did. He praised the Zhang family for their dignity, saying he hopes the hard work of investigators and the courage for Christensen's ex-girlfriend to record his murderous confessions may bring some small comfort to them. When Christensen was officially sentenced, the judge told him, quote, "The mercy extended to you by the jury is a testament to their humanity, not your character." The judge told the court that the jury's decision shouldn't be second-guessed.
This case is a good example of the American system of justice.
It's the conclusion of weeks of overwhelming, sometimes disturbing evidence and tearful testimony. And though it's the best justice the United States can offer Ying Zhang and her family, there's only one thing that can give them peace.
If you have any humanity left in your soul, please help end our torment. Please let us bring Ying home.
That was Aaron Eads reporting for us tonight. In addition to the life sentence, Christensen was also sentenced to 5 years for lying to the FBI and fined $250,000 for each of the 3 counts he was convicted of. We have complete coverage of Christensen's trial and sentencing online. Tonight, we also aired a 30-minute special on how federal prosecutors built their case and what happened that led investigators to Christensen's doorstep. You can re-watch that and read a complete reporter notebook of the trial on WCIA.com.
Underage drinking and illegal drug use by kids is grabbing the attention of people in Piatt County. A recent survey shows many teenagers are doing it, and one group is trying to prevent it from getting worse. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen is here. So, Jennifer, where's this information coming from?
Paul, every 2 years, the U of I School of Social Work does a survey of kids in 8th, 10th, and 12th grade. It finds patterns in students' use of illicit drugs and alcohol consumption. there's a lingering concern in many parents' minds when it comes to their kids.
A lot of us as parents have firsthand evidence from conversations with our students about the reality of what's happening in our schools.
Rich Rat's children have come home with stories of other kids drinking and using drugs. While secondhand information is one thing, firsthand accounts of illegal substance abuse is another. Students in Piatt County are admitting to what's happening through a county-wide survey in their schools.
They're looking at 8th, 10th, and 12th grade self-reporting on a myriad of different behaviors that would include anything from alcohol usage, marijuana usage, other illicit substances.
The survey asked 452 students in 3 different schools to share what they've done.
High school students in Piatt County, we have 33% of those that are actively consuming alcohol are saying that they're getting that knowingly from their parents. 22% of all 8th graders in this county have said they've consumed alcohol in the last year.
Tony Kirkman is the director at Piatt County Mental Health Center. He wants parents to educate their kids about the risks of addiction and substance abuse. The health center is doing its part to help with that.
We have a program that is youth prevention education that goes into the classrooms talking about all of these risk factors.
Piatt County's survey numbers are below the state average, but Ratz says he doesn't want substance abuse to happen at all.
Everybody should have a stake in this, because if our youth and our students are not healthy and safe, then ultimately our community is not going to be healthy and safe.
The next survey will be taken this upcoming school year. In the newsroom, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, Jennifer, thanks for that update. We have another update to a story on Goodwill. The now former CEO of Land of Lincoln Goodwill is out of a job. Sharon Durbin submitted her resignation to the board of directors today. She shocked and offended many in central Illinois when she said tasks completed by employees with disabilities were, quote, not really a job. Earlier in the week, Durbin said a dozen workers with disabilities would not be paid before reversing the decision Wednesday after backlash from the community, state lawmakers, and 2 presidential candidates.
New for you tonight at 10, months of recounts and deliberation came down to a raffle in the race for alderman of Ward 2 in Springfield. City Council approved a proposal that declared a tie between Gail Simpson and Sean Gregory. The county's tiebreaker method is to drop ping pong balls out of a bag. The winning ping pong ball belonged to Sean Gregory. He will take over the seat from Simpson, who's been the sitting alderman since the election. Gregory says he will still work with Simpson as he takes over the position.
You know, I'm the man I say I am. I'm going to lead in that charge, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to reach out to Gail. I'm going to work with her. Even if I lost, I'm going to reach out to her, and I'm going to work with her. Because in the end, it's about people, and we can't put ourselves forward and our egos first.
While the ping pong ball raffle took the decision out of the city council's hands, it is possible for Simpson to challenge the election results in court. The day after chants of "send her back" broke out at a rally for President Trump, the president says he tried to stop them, although video shows him standing silently for nearly 15 seconds. The chants were in reference to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Now, Illinois Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger is weighing in, tweeting, quote, "I deeply disagree with the extreme left and have been disgusted by their tone. I woke up today equally disgusted. Chants like 'send her back' are ugly, wrong, and would send chills down the spines of our founding fathers. This ugliness must end or we risk our great union."
Other leaders in central Illinois also sent a message today. This comes after ICE agents raided cities across the country. Champaign police say they will not participate in any federal immigration activities. WCIA 3's Jen Lask joins us now. So, Jen, what do advocates for immigrants here think of that?
They say they're trying to stop rumors and fear from growing in the community, so today's message is positive. But they're worried that the message of support isn't reaching the people who need to hear it the most.
The police department doesn't concern itself with immigration status. We don't enforce immigration status.
Champaign's Deputy Police Chief David Schaefer wants to make it clear the department should be considered a resource for all.
We want everyone in this community to be able to trust the police and feel that we're a resource for anyone in this community if you need help.
Mayor Deb Finan says she's concerned about what's happening on a national level, but trying to focus on helping people on a local one. She says as the 2020 census approaches, she wants immigrants to feel safe coming forward.
It's really important for everyone to be counted because cities get dollars from the federal government based on the number of people here. So people need to know that they can step up and be counted and that they're not putting themselves or their families in jeopardy.
One of the city's partners is the New Americans Welcome Center at the YMCA. Its director, Gloria Yen, says she hopes announcements like these will help address fear in the community.
A lot of anxiety around, is federal immigration enforcement going to be coming into our community, and what does that mean, and how do we need to prepare in order to really make sure that individuals and families are really fully informed of their different rights and ready to protect themselves and prepare their families in that case.
Tom Garza, the president of the CU Immigration Forum, says he's glad to hear about Champaign's statement, but he's worried it's not reaching everyone who needs to hear it.
Well, the problem is that a lot of new immigrants are language challenged, so they don't watch stations like this one because they don't understand what's going on.
The city does have translations for its statements, but Garza points out that in some countries, the line between local and federal authorities is blurred, so people might not realize that local police in Champaign are supposed to help them. He says the best way to build trust is by showing up to community events. Back to you.
All right, Jen, thanks.
One group is honoring police who have died in the line of duty. They're doing it with a very long bike ride.
Plus, one U of I geologist is looking for life on Mars. How an erupting geyser at Yellowstone could help.
And Big Ten Media Days kicked off in Chicago. What Lovie Smith had to say in an exclusive interview.